Ethereum's EIP repository has multiple standards under discussion to streamline the application development. If you want to learn about an upcoming NFT standard for platform interoperability, continue watching. Welcome to PEEPanEIP episode 87. I'm your host Pooja Ranjan, and in this episode, we will be learning about an upcoming standard for NFT EIP-5606 Multiverse NFTs. About the proposal, EIP-5606 is a standard track ERC created on September 6, is currently in the draft status. To provide an overview of the proposal, we are joined by our guest on the show and co-author of EIP 5606, Gaurang Torvekar.
Hey, Pooja.
Welcome, Gaurang.
Yeah, thank you.
We are also joined by Blaine Malone, the co-author of EIP 2981 NFT royalty standard, and people who are interested to follow the upcoming proposal. Welcome to the show, Gaurang. Thank you for joining us today.
Hey, it's great to be here.
Right. I understand this EIP reads very interesting, especially to me, and I'm looking forward to hear what you have got to share with us. But before we get into the woods of the proposal, may we have a quick introduction of you and your journey with the Ethereum ecosystem. I understand you have a slide, so maybe you can start sharing, and yeah, we can take it from there.
Okay, sure, yeah. So, so hi Pooja, I'm Gaurang, and as you said, I'm one of the co-authors of EIP 5606. And this EIP is about multiverse NFTs. So this helps you go from metaverse to multiverse, right? So I'm Gaurang, and I've been involved in the Ethereum space since almost 2015, 2016, So I've been writing smart contracts for the last 6 years now. And I was also the co-organizer of the Ethereum Singapore meetup back in the days when it started. Actually, I joined them from the second meetup, and we were just 5 people sitting in a bar across like a table. And from there, we grew that meetup group to like thousands of people. And now I'm based in London, and I'm also one of the co-organizers of Ethereum London meetup. So I've always been involved in the community, and I love Ethereum. I love the ethos of Ethereum, the decentralization, and all those things. Yeah. So my two co-authors are Khemraj and Nikhil. And Khemraj is a Solidity developer, and Nikhil is mainly like a dApp and Ethereum developer. So so they have helped me a lot while writing this.
Awesome. That's pretty interesting. And I know this proposal is interesting in itself because it brings something new to the NFT universe. So without further ado, let's peep in.
Sure. Thank you so much. Before we go into the EIP, let me talk about a few of the problems that we are trying to solve. This is kind of the motivation behind this EIP. So as you all know, currently there are just too many metaverses, too many NFT projects, and too many play-to-earn blockchain games, right? If you go on OpenSea, if you go on LooksRare or any of these marketplaces, you will see thousands of NFT projects out there, right? But the problem is none of them are connected to each other. None of them talk to each other, right? And so let's say you want to buy some asset, like a digital asset, you need to publish it, mint it on multiple places, on multiple marketplaces, and then buy it from multiple places. Just like too messy right now, right? There are just too many marketplaces, too many NFT projects out there. And also there are no standards for this interoperability. Some people have been trying to come up with standards, but those standards haven't been accepted, right? No one is really using those standards. Each of the games, each of the metaverses is trying to do their own thing. And that's why the user base is completely fragmented today. So you have a few hundred users on few hundred daily active users on Decentraland. You have a few users on Sandbox, on CryptoVoxels, but there's no one thing which just joins all of them together. And we believe that this EIP, which is EIP-5606, could be the first step towards going there, towards that goal. Just to help you understand the problem a little better, let me take an example of a digital asset like a golden jacket, right? So now let's consider an example. You have a fashion brand who has designed this amazing looking golden jacket. And now they want to create the digital version of this jacket as a wearable on multiple metaverses. Now consider, now remember, in this case, I'm only selecting, or I'm only talking about the top 4 metaverses, which are Sandbox in the crypto space right now. Sandbox, Decentraland, Voxels, and Somnium space. I'm not even talking about other ones like Other Side or any of the other metaverses coming up, right? If you just consider these top 4 metaverses, this golden jacket, to create this golden jacket as a wearable, you need to create 8 NFTs in total. And that's because you need to create 1 NFT on Sandbox, 1 NFT on Decentraland, and believe it or not, 5 NFTs on Voxels. And that's because on Voxels, you have to do a torso NFT, you have to do 2 NFTs for your upper arms and 2 for your lower arms. So 5 NFTs on Voxels and another NFT on Somnium space. Now see, the problem here is all these 8 NFTs, in reality, they just represent one thing, which is a golden jacket, right? A golden jacket by, let's say, brand A. But you have 8 NFTs on the blockchain right now. If you look at the blockchain as a whole, each of these 8 NFTs could have 100 copies or 1,000 copies, right? So let's say they have 1,000 copies each. There will be 8,000 different NFT token IDs which are not connected to each other. But in reality, they are just the same thing, right? And now, if you start looking at games in the metaverses, or if you start just looking at games, this problem becomes really big, right? Now, just I don't know how many of you are gamers, but if you look at this image, it's a character from Elden Ring, which is one of my favorite games. Now, if you look at this character, he's a soldier from Raya Lucaria, and this person, he has an armor and he has a shield, right? So this whole set of armor and shield together on Sandbox, if you need to publish this armor and this whole set, you need to publish 5 NFTs. So you have to publish a helmet NFT, jacket NFT, shoes NFT, pants, and shield. If you want to do it on Decentraland, another 5 NFTs. On Voxels, another 8 NFTs. On Somnium Space, another 5 NFTs. And here, as I said, I'm not even talking about the games. I'm just talking about the metaverses. Now, if you think about other games, there are going to be even more NFTs, right? And as I said earlier, if you think that each of these NFTs has 1,000 copies, you suddenly have 23,000 different token IDs on the blockchain, and none of them are connected with each other. It is completely random, right? So as a game developer, as a game publisher, or as a designer who is designing this armor, you have to maintain so many things at the same time. And as your buyers also, you have to buy 5 NFTs, right? That's just for one set of armor. And if you go for other sets of armors, you have to buy, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 NFTs out there. And that is just insane. So we wanted to publish this NFT. We want to come up with this standard to just take the first step towards solving this problem. And now imagine, just to give you this, just to help you understand the scale of this problem, right? Sebastian from Sandbox, who is one of the co-founders, he himself has said that it won't be just a metaverse, it would be a multiverse, right? Right now, as I said, we have 5, 6 big metaverses in the crypto space alone. And in the future, you are going to have so many niche metaverses coming up, right? So in the next 3, 4, 5 years, I think there will be dozens of metaverses. And as a digital designer, as a creator of a wearable, I will need to keep on publishing my NFT on all these metaverses, and none of them will be connected. But there has to be a better way, and I think what we are proposing could help solve this problem. So what we are proposing here is a multiverse NFT, and this is going to be a top level NFT. So you could consider this like a wrapper NFT or a proxy NFT, which has to be minted by the buyers. And this NFT, it will represent a digital asset. So as I showed you earlier, this NFT could represent that golden jacket as a whole, right? So let's say as a publisher, you just publish one NFT at the top level, which essentially represent this golden jacket, or you publish one NFT at the top level, which represents this whole armor outfit, right? So in case of Elden Ring, you could call this Multiverse NFT as an NFT for the Raya Lucaria soldier, right? So if you want to buy an outfit for Raya Lucaria soldier, you just buy this Multiverse NFT and you get all the items inside that NFT. I'll talk about how the user gets those items. But one of the ways in which all the other items, all the if you want to call it the child items, the child NFTs are connected with this multiverse NFT is in such a way that the multiverse NFT kind of owns all these child NFTs, or what we call as delegate NFTs. And the beauty of this standard is it is very extensible, so it can be extended to as many NFTs as possible. And let's say the Raya Lucaria outfit, in that outfit you can have as many items as possible. Right now in the picture that I showed you, we just had a shield, but you could also have a sword, or you could have a bow and arrow, or a crossbow, or anything like that. And now this could be applied to multiple games, right? A lot of other games can start using it. A lot of other metaverses can start using it as well. So if you look at the standard, to help understand the standard, you need to understand two concepts. The first is the multiverse NFT, which is the top level NFT, the wrapper NFT. And second is the delegate NFTs. Now the delegate NFTs are the 5 NFTs or the 8 NFTs on all the metaverses. So in case of the golden jacket, each of the metaverses will have an NFT, and we're calling it a delegate NFT. So you'll have a delegate NFT on Sandbox, delegate NFT on Decentraland, 5 delegate NFTs on Voxels, and 1 delegate NFT on Somnium Space, for that example. And these delegate NFTs are really an incarnation of this digital asset. These NFTs may or may not be related to each other. That's okay. But what we are trying to do is we are trying to establish the relationship between these NFTs at the top level. So since all these delegate NFTs are owned by the multiverse NFT at the top level, in that way, you can establish a relationship between these NFTs. And they are composable as well. So each NFT can exist on its own, can exist as a part of a bundle, or it can exist in multiple ways like that. Now, just to go into slightly more technical details, if you look at the interface of this proposal, the first thing that we have in this interface is the delegate data. So when you're creating a multiverse NFT, you need to define the delegates that are going to be a part of this multiverse NFT, and that's why we have this struct, and you can have an array of this struct. So this struct delegate data, it contains the contract address. So the contract address essentially is the address of the contract on Decentraland, for example, or Sandbox. Then you have a token ID, which is the ID of this token on Decentraland or any of the metaverses. You have the quantity, so how many of these NFTs exist, and you have a state called is bundled. So essentially, any delegate NFT can exist in either of the two states. It can be bundled or it can be unbundled. So we have a Boolean for that. And we also have a field called owner address to make sure that we track the owner of this delegate properly. Then when you are actually creating a multiverse NFT, or when you're minting the multiverse NFT, it is done by calling this function called initBundle. So when you call initBundle, you have to send the array of this delegate data struct, in which you're sending all these properties that we talked about earlier. So you send an array of these delegate NFT data, and initBundle function will mint a new multiverse NFT, right? And now when you're minting a new multiverse NFT, what you're doing is you're defining the delegates that are going to be a part of this multiverse NFT. But when it is minted, this NFT is going to be empty. So it won't have anything. It will just be another NFT at the top level. It won't have anything. Ideally, the contents of this NFT should not be changed. But again, the authors or the implementers of this EIP have an option to do that. They'll just have to make sure that it is secure, and you might have some edge cases, right? So if you keep changing the delegate properties or the delegate NFTs in this multiverse NFT, you might have some edge cases where one NFT can go from one owner to another. You just need to make sure that all those concerns are addressed when you're implementing this in this EIP. Yeah. So as I said, when you call the initBundle function, you meant an empty multiverse NFT. Yeah. Now to actually send the delegate NFTs to this multiverse NFT, you need to call the function bundle. So when you're bundling, what you're doing is you're sending all the delegate NFTs and so first of all, you actually need to approve all these delegate NFTs to this multiverse NFT contract. And when you call the bundle function, it will transfer from the contract of this delegate NFT to this contract. So what will happen is now this NFT, this multiverse NFT, will own all of these delegate NFTs. So in a way, what you're doing is you're passing the ownership and the the relationship from the individual metaverses to the top level NFT, which is the delegate NFT. Which is the multiverse NFT. So this bundle function takes an array of the delegate data struct. It takes the multiverse token ID. So essentially, it makes sure that these delegates are going to the actual intended multiverse NFT. And it also takes an owner address. This is obviously an external function, and it will transfer the NFTs from the metaverses to this multiverse NFT. Yeah. And this function is quite versatile. You can actually bundle partially as well. So let's say in our example of the golden jacket, we initialize a bundle or we initialize a multiverse NFT with 8 delegate NFTs. But you can call the bundle function by sending only 3 NFTs or 4 NFTs, doesn't matter. The maximum you can go is 8, but you can bundle less than that as well. And then the last important function here is unbundle. So when you're unbundling the NFTs, in that case, you're again sending an array of the delegate data struct, and you're sending a multiverse token ID. So you need to make sure that the correct multiverse NFT is being unbundled. In this case, what happens is, so now why do we have the unbundle function in the first place, right? So let's take the example of the golden jacket again. You have 8 NFTs for the golden jacket on 4 metaverses. Let's say I buy the multiverse NFT and I get the golden jacket on 4 metaverses simultaneously. But in this case, I'm not a big fan of, let's say, Somnium Space, or I'm not a big fan of voxels, right? And I don't want to keep those NFTs. So what I could do is I could unbundle those NFTs from this multiverse NFT, and I can sell them on a secondary marketplace. So that way, this whole standard becomes really versatile, and it is completely up to the owner or the buyer to decide how many NFTs they want to keep, how many they want to sell, and it becomes really flexible in that way, right? So as I said, when you call the unbundle function, it transfers out the delegate NFTs from this multiverse NFT, and it goes back to the owner's wallet. Yeah, so that's pretty much it on the implementation side and on the interface side. Now, if you look at the use cases for this, so we believe that one of the fundamental use cases is digital wearables, right? So there's a big phygital movement going on right now. Phygital, I don't like this word, but physical, they like to call it like physical to digital, and you have a lot of fashion brands who are exploring digital clothes in the upcoming metaverses. And you have big brands trying to do this, right? If you look at Sandbox, you have some of the really large brands like, I don't know, Gucci, Prada. These brands are buying land. They are actually exploring creating digital fashion items there. So we believe that this could be a great use case for this EIP. And the second, I think, which can really be a game changer, is in-game assets. So in the earlier example, I showed you an intersection between gaming and fashion, right? So the armor set that you're buying in Elden Ring, for example, that is nothing but your digital clothes, your digital wearables, right? There's also another example, right, where you have these fashion brands who could create clothes and items and wearables for your game avatars, for example, right? So there's an intersection between wearables and between games. And I think one of the best examples for this is in-game assets like your weapons and your shields and your your potions and all those things. Now imagine there are let's say 2 or 3 games who have partnered together, and you meant like one gun or one rifle, and this one rifle you can start using it in multiple games. I think that's going to be a game changer, because as a gamer, as a buyer of these things, I can just buy one gun and I can use it all across the family of those games, right? So for example, if you think about a futuristic way where all the big titles start adopting not this EIP, but they start adopting NFTs. In that case, let's take an example of Assassin's Creed, or let's take an example of the whole From Software games, right? So you have Elden Ring, you have Demon's Souls, you have all these other games. Now imagine if I buy a sword in Assassin's Creed and I can use it across all the Assassin's Creed games. That's going to be quite cool. Or if you're talking about the Call of Duty franchise, Call of Duty family, if you buy one rifle, like a sniper rifle, and if you can use it across all of the Call of Duty games, I think that's going to be a game changer. Again, we are still way off from there, right? I think it will take another 10 years, maybe 8 or 10 years for these games to embrace it, if it happens. But I think blockchain games that already exist and that are already being built, I think they are a great use case for this kind of an example. And beyond this, not just wearables and not just games, you can also use this standard for NFTFi, and you can use it for staking. You can bundle different things together, have some loyalty points, loyalty rewards, coming off of those NFTs. So you can do a lot of things, right? So for example, you own I don't know, 3 golden jackets. You can bundle them together into one multiverse NFT, and I don't know, the metaverses could start giving you some loyalty points for that. So yeah, there's a lot of applications for this, and yeah, I think the community could find even more applications and use cases beyond this. These are just some of the use cases that we thought about, but yeah, I think it could be used in multiple other scenarios as well. Yeah, that's pretty much it. If you want to contact us, you can contact me, Gaurang Torvekar. You can also contact my other co-authors, Khimraj and Nikhil. They are on Twitter as well. Yeah, any questions on this?
So yeah, amazing. This presentation was great. Thanks for sharing this with all examples. It made a lot of sense to relate the proposal and the term physical. I heard it for the first time, but I believe we kind of discussed this in the past PEEPanEIP meeting, which was for EIP-5406, and we were taking some gaming examples. So thank you for the talk. And yeah, I will open the platform for anyone to have questions here.
Yeah, thanks for that, Gaurang. Love the presentation. Really impressive. I hadn't read the EIP before this call, but I think you explained it quite well there. I had 2 questions actually. So I'm kind of new to the whole like multiverse, metaverse stuff, and like I definitely know the NFTs are going to play some role in that. I guess, like, is there an are there any implicit assumptions being made in this EIP? So what I mean is, like, does this contract, like the delegate contract, basically get deployed on mainnet? Does it matter what chain it gets deployed on? Because I'd assume that a lot of these, like Somnium Space and Decentraland, use their own chains, so it's kind of like a multi-chain world, right? Are we just assuming that we deploy this delegate contract onto mainnet, or am I missing something there?
No, that's a great question. So yeah, we have thought about implementation, and what we believe is that right now this is possible. So we can use this standard on the same blockchain, right? So it could be Polygon, it could be Ethereum, it could be any EVM chain, any L2, L1, doesn't matter, right? So it could be used on any of those blockchains. Right now, we haven't thought about how to make this multi-chain. Maybe that could be future work on this. Yeah, but I think on the same chain, you can do it across multiple platforms, across all the metaverses. And what I know is all these metaverses, they are coming on Polygon now. So they are doing a lot of transactions on Polygon. It's a bit mixed, so they started with Ethereum mainnet and now they're moving to Polygon, most of them. So yeah, that needs to be worked out, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because I was going to ask like how, so if I'm if I own the gold jacket like you said, and then I want to sell it at some point, like how does the marketplaces know where to look for the delegate contract? But you're saying that they kind of have that information, right? Because they know where Somnium Space is deployed or where Decentraland is deployed, so they can kind of just like intuitively know.
Exactly.
Right.
And see, if you think about OpenSea, for example, right? So OpenSea, if you just connect your wallet, it can recognize where your NFT is. It could be on Ethereum mainnet, could be on Polygon, could be on Solana, for example. So yeah, that way you can just go and sell it.
Cool. And then just one more question. I guess like it's kind of split into two parts. So I was wondering who actually like deploys this contract, and then also does the deployer of the contract have an expectation that they shouldn't really unbundle some NFTs? Because so let's take the gold jacket for example. So if I deploy that contract and then bundle all of the NFTs on the various metaverses into that contract, and then later I come along and then like unbundle the Somnium Space gold jacket, does that inherently lose its value for the next buyer of that suite of NFT contracts? You know what I mean? Like you've basically lost one of your 8 NFTs for the next buyer.
Exactly. No, those are great questions. So addressing the first question, who deploys the contract, I think that could be the creator of this golden jacket or the designer or essentially the seller, right? So now let's take a hypothetical example, H&M or Zara. They are coming up with a new design, a nice shiny golden jacket, and they want to create a digital variable for this. So Zara or H&M will be the ones deploying this contract, the Multiverse NFT contract, and they will allow the buyers to actually mint these Multiverse NFTs. So each buyer or each buyer's dApp or MetaMask will be calling the initBundle function. Does that make sense on a high level?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Then coming to the second part, yes, so that's where it gets tricky. So yeah, we understand, right? So let's say you buy this jacket from Zara for, I don't know, $200, and you just lose 1/4 of the value, right? So now it's only worth $150 because you can use it only on 3 metaverses, right? If you unbundle the Somnium Space thing. But yeah, like we understand it, and we really want to leave it to the implementers, right? So as someone who is implementing the standard, you can choose not to have the unbundle function, or you can even make it soulbound actually. So I was discussing with Pooja earlier. What you could do is you could make all of these tokens, including the Multiverse NFT token, soulbound. So you can just stop the transfers from this, and that could actually open up some really interesting applications, right? Yeah. I haven't even thought about it in detail, but yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. So basically the original deployer of this this gold jacket, then they if I'm understanding correctly, they transfer ownership. They basically delegate the ownership of all of the various NFTs. So in this case, the 8 NFTs to the delegate contract, and then
Sorry, the ownership goes to the buyer. So the buyer who is buying this golden jacket, they will own the golden jacket and all the delegate NFTs there.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. But for the lifetime of this golden jacket, only the deployer of the delegate contract can unbundle. Is that correct?
No, that depends on how you implement this EIP. You could allow the buyer to unbundle. You could allow the creator to unbundle as well.
Okay.
Yeah. Depends on what roles you are assigning to the contract, right? That's what I mean. It's very versatile, very flexible. You can do whatever you want with it, really.
Yeah. So it's really just getting that canonical representation of all of these NFTs in one place. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Thanks for answering those questions. Cool.
And that's why, like, I know it's a bit confusing, but we wanted to keep it open, right? Because we want this to be used in multiple ways and multiple scenarios. So yeah, we just want to leave it to the implementers and the community, do whatever you want.
Yeah, I always wonder about like, so I definitely think this is great, especially for like metaverses deployed on the same chain.
Yes.
It's then going that level higher, right? It's like, how do you do this cross chain? Like, I have no answer to that. I don't know what the answer is, but it's like really difficult, right?
Yeah. No, that we have been thinking about a few ways, like you have NFT bridges and all these things, but bridges keep getting hacked every month, right? So yeah, I'm a bit worried about using bridges right now. But yeah, let's see next year what comes up, right?
Yeah, thanks for the talk again. That was great.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for attending.
Thank you. And I have a few more questions on that we have already collected. So probably I'll take a few of them because you have partially answered some of them. We were talking about Soulbound NFT, and as per the blog that is added in the Fellowship of Ethereum Magician thread as an additional resource to understand this proposal. This proposal is tangential to Soulbound NFT, and it also provides the flexibility to convert into Soulbound token. You did talk about owners buying and selling flexibility. So yeah, if you could talk a little bit more about what other features it can be provided.
Yes, no, absolutely. So as I was talking to you earlier, Pooja, so the thing is, we have left the implementation open on purpose, right? We want this to be extensible. We want the standard to be extensible, and hence, when you're essentially implementing this interface, when you're creating this contract in the initBundle function or even in the unbundle function, you can actually add some constraints, right? So you can make sure that when you create the bundle, when you bundle the NFTs, you can't really maybe remove them. So you can't even unbundle them, or you can't transfer them to someone, right? So even at this level, at the Multiverse NFT level, the top NFT level, you can just remove the transfer function in a very naive implementation. Again, there are some very nice implementations for Soulbound tokens that the community is coming up. Just removing the transfer function is a very naive implementation. But what I'm trying to say is that is possible. So you could make this token a Soulbound token. Which is quite cool, and it can open up a few more different possibilities, right? So for example, if you go to this armor, right, in case of this Raya Lucaria soldier, or something like this, let's say you're playing Elden Ring or you're playing any blockchain game, for example, some of these items are accessible only when you go to that certain level. You need to be level 30, level 40, and you need to go to this place, and only then this item opens up. So in that case, you need to work for it. You need to spend like 30-40 hours in the game, and only then you reach there. In that case, you could make this whole set Soulbound, and that would be quite cool. Yeah.
Absolutely. Soulbound in itself sounds very cool. After Vitalik has a mention of that, anything can be very interesting for the community.
One of the issues with wrapping base tokens is that you lose direct access to those tokens.
Yes.
So for instance, Mooncats, you can change the name. Ethereum tiles, you can change the name. But once you put it in a wrapper like this, so you're saying that the wrapper that holds these, 8 different NFTs or however many would have to support the changing of that Mooncat name, which has been
Yes.
It's now owned by.
That's a great question. Actually, we have thought about this. So actually, if you go to the EIP on the website, we have a very naive implementation of this EIP, and in that implementation, the way we are doing it, Cyrus, is we are just transferring the ownership from the owner's wallet, and then the ownership goes to this Multiverse NFT contract. So in that case, we're not really changing the delegate contract, right? The base NFT contract, we're not changing anything there. We're just transferring the ownership there. Yeah. And now when you unbundle it back, so you get it back in your wallet, right? And in that case, in the case of Mooncats, for example, when you bundle, you cannot change the name, but when you unbundle, you get it back, and you can again change the name. So it's completely up to the owner of this NFT. Yeah. So that's why we wanted to keep it flexible.
Well, let's use the golden jacket example. Let's say that it has a function on the base tokens across all the different ones for unzip and zip.
Yeah.
Can you write the wrapper contract in such a way that you support zip and unzip?
Yes, that's really interesting, and that actually now actually just let me extend this example into the in-game assets, and that's where actually that's actually one of the challenges for implementers. You talked about zip and unzip, right? Now let's even extend this further. Let's think about, let's say, a gun or a sword, right? Now if you're buying one let's say a sword and you want to use it across multiple games, now the way in which this sword actually works, it could be different in multiple games, right? Similar to your zip and unzip example. So yeah, that's one challenge with this, I think, and we need to figure it out how we can implement that challenge. So yeah, we don't have an answer to that. We could potentially, so the wrapper NFT could potentially implement that, but at the end of the day, there are just limitations, right? So how many metaverses can you cater to? How many games can you cater to, right? You could cater to like 2, 3, 4 games to begin with, but beyond that, I think it's not scalable. Yeah.
Do you, let's say that the jacket is a Gucci brand jacket. Do you expect Gucci to write this Multiverse NFT wrapper, and then that wrapper will then support Decentraland and Ethereum and Sandbox and whatever else from their
so
original writing of the wrapper?
It depends. So it could be Gucci themselves, or you could have a platform which actually implements the standard. We one of the company where I work at Indoors, we are creating a project called MetaLink, where we are implementing this EIP, and we are creating like a NFT creation platform, like an NFT launcher, variables launcher, where we are implementing this. So Gucci can come and use that platform to launch their collection. Yeah. So you could have third parties who create these platforms, and then brands can use it or games can use it.
Interesting. Talking about users and implementers, I have a question for you related to security consideration. Would you like to maybe talk about main security consideration that projects implementers should consider?
Yes, absolutely. Again, we have standard Open Zeppelin interfaces for ERC-721 tokens, but in case of bundling and unbundling, when you're sending your NFTs or when you're unbundling them, in that case, you're calling an external contract, and there could be issues with reentrancy attacks, right? So you cannot assume that the delegate contract is always a secure contract. When you call the transfer from function in the delegate contract, it could have some malicious code, and you don't know what could happen. So it's very important for the implementers of the Multiverse NFT to make sure that the delegate contracts are safe. Yeah, that's one. And second is, again, personally, I've been writing smart contracts, right, for a while, and I don't like to keep anything in a smart contract, be it Ether or any cryptocurrency or any NFTs. I usually immediately put it out and keep it in a hardware wallet, right? But in this case, inherently, this contract, these Multiverse NFTs are going to own all the delegate NFTs. So this Multiverse NFT contract itself, it becomes like a big target for hackers, right? So let's say Gucci or Prada, they start selling golden jackets for $1,000 each, $2,000 each, and I don't know, you get 100,000 people using these jackets, right? That becomes a target immediately. So I don't know. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's a reality today, though. Every single historic NFT before 721 is contained inside a wrapper. They live there.
Yeah.
So that's very real.
Exactly. And I'm scared of that.
Yeah. Yes, I am too.
Right. We have seen users like, malicious parties, of course, even having minting of POAP, which does not contain the real world value, but here NFT does contain value. So yeah, we need to be careful about all these things. Thank you for sharing that. My next question is about a proposal. So we observed in a comment on the discussion to page about an alternate proposal EIP-5955, that is a vendor-specific metadata extension for NFT tokens. That basically suggests adding a new field to NFT metadata to store vendor-specific data. For our users community, will you explain the difference between the two? And does EIP-5606 hold any advantage over the other, or are they independent of each other?
So as I see it, I think these four EIPs are kind of independent of each other. They are trying to solve the same problem. So when I read that EIP and I went through their motivation and all these things, they are trying to solve a similar problem, which is making sure that these assets are compatible between the metaverses. But the way they are doing it is they are adding one more field called namespace to the metadata. Frankly, I'm not really sure how these projects, or I don't know if they expect the metaverses to adopt this new standard. So I think that could be one challenge in that case, because making metaverses do anything that will take a few months to 1 year or even 2 years, right? And that if the standard is like a really popular standard. But in case of EIP-5606, the thing that we are proposing, metaverses don't need to do anything at all, literally. It is actually up to the creators and the buyers of these NFTs to just implement the standard. And it's completely backwards compatible. Metaverses don't need to change anything. Games don't need to change anything. They just operate the way they are. And the creators can just use this directly. And another differentiation is while that other standard talks about metadata itself, we are talking at the NFT level. So yes, assets are important, and assets need to be compatible and interchangeable. But we are actually going one level above that. We are talking about NFTs themselves, and NFTs. So essentially, our NFTs standard could implement that standard for the metadata. So in a way, it could be compatible. In a way, it could be separate. Yeah. So yeah, there's definitely some synergies there. Let's see what happens.
Definitely, yes. We are receiving multiple proposals on NFT. So I was just trying to get some clarification here. However, that proposal is also in the draft status. So yeah, we look forward to changes which is coming up in both sides, and whatever is being supported by most of the users probably will be seen in the final status.
Yeah.
Talking about status, I would be curious to understand the specs and status. At present, this proposal is in the draft status. I suppose the team is already working on moving it towards reviews. So at this point, how comfortable you are as an co-author how comfortable you are of the specs, those are available there. Would you like to take a minute and talk about the readiness of the proposal, and maybe when we can expect this proposal moving into the last call?
Yes. No, that's a great question as well. So we have been trying to do some naive implementations of this interface, definitely, the three of us. And I think this is almost ready. We might want to change some data types and all these things in the signatures of the functions, because we think we can optimize them further. So we might make 1 or 2 commits to the GitHub repo. And I think from there, it should be ready to go into the review state and then the final state. So I think this is pretty simple. It's not rocket science. It's not as difficult as 1559, for example, right? So yeah, I think 1 or 2 commits and it should be ready.
Right. When 1559 is finally in the final status, I hope this will be too.
Exactly. That was a nightmare, right? Getting it to that stage.
Yeah, right. All right. I have one last question about the EIP process. Maybe if you would like to share any thoughts on the current process, or if there is anything that we, the cat holders, can do to extend our help to upcoming EIP authors in terms of documentation or helping proposal reach to become a standard.
No, so just as a review, I think First of all, the documentation is absolutely amazing. EIP1 is really well written. And even so, I joined your Discord group, Ethereum Cat Herders, and even there you have some nice steps there. I think a couple of what do you call it, editors? Yeah, a couple of EIP editors have written their own blogs as well on the exact steps, which are kind of similar to EIP1, but they're quite detailed and nice. But even then, it was I didn't really know the steps on how to take it to the draft stage or to the review stage, or essentially how to move to the next stage. That's still a little bit confusing for me, frankly. But what helped me was when I started joining those calls. So you have those bi-weekly calls, and those were really good. So I could get to interact with the EIP editor directly, and that was really helpful. And actually just understanding their thought process, how they are editing the other EIPs and what they're looking for, what are the mistakes, that helps a lot. So yeah, documentation is great, but I think documentation only takes us to like 80%, 85%. The last 10, 15% are still, a little confusing here.
Yeah, and I think we need those 10-15% to be done in order to not slip any EIP into stagnant status. We don't want authors to just lose interest. So yeah, I'm glad that the bi-weekly EIP editing office hour is helping a lot.
Yes, absolutely. It's just nice to just sit back and see what they're doing. Quite cool actually.
Right. All right, it's time to wrap up. Anything that you would like to share with the community or possible implementers?
No, I think that's it from my side. Thank you.
Cool, very well. Gaurang, we appreciate you taking out time and talking about EIP-5606 Multiverse NFT. With the release of this talk, my hope is to see more implementation of this proposal coming forward, and this proposal be moved towards the final status in due course of time. On this note, thanks to our channel subscriber watching and listening this episode on NFT EIP. Check out description for related link. Hit like and share and increase the reach. Should you have any question on this proposal or any other EIP, let us know at Cat Herders Discord. Next week, we will be back with another interesting talk. Till then, keep watching, keep sharing your love with Ethereum Cat Herders. Cheers.